Hi everyone. So few days back, Victor Momo on his YouTube channel Excel Moments made a very interesting video on this problem in which we have to insert a blank row after every name change. And he used a very amazing approach using vstack plus reduce plus offset plus expand functions in order to solve for this problem. So I will attach the link of this video in the comments below and in the description box. Do check out his solution and take a note of what are the learnings that we can gather from his approach. And what we will do in this video that we will have a look at an alternative solution to the same problem using primarily scan function. We will primarily see that how we can use a scan function for solving for this particular problem. And one more challenge that we will take on is that we will keep the number of blanks to be inserted after every change dynamic so that user can change that to, let's say, 2. So if we wish to insert 2 blanks after every name change, user can change that. So that is again the add-on challenge that we are going to take. And let's see that how we can approach this problem using primarily scan function and a bunch of other functions. So let's move on to Excel and let's see that how we can approach this problem. So first of all, let's see that what is the problem and what is the expected output going to look like. So let's say here we have the list of names, and we have to insert, let's say, 2 blanks after every change in names. So here we have John, John, John continuously. So here it will be John, right? John, John, and again John populated. And uh, there, after that, there is a change in name. That is, we have James here. So when we have a change in name, we wish to insert 2 blank rows. We wish to keep 2 blank rows, and then we wish to populate James here. So again, 2 times James will populate here. And then again, there is a change in name, that is Jean come here. And again, we wish to see 2 blank rows here. So again, here Jean will come, again Jean, right? And then again, there is a change in name, Joyce. So here again, Joyce will come. And again, there is a change in name. So again, the next name will come here. And then again, finally, there is a change in name, Peter. So Peter will again be populated here. And this is going to be our expected output. And let me give it a border. So this is going to be our expected output in which user can input the number of blanks that he wish to insert after every change in the name, and here it is 2. So we have inserted 2 rows between each of the changes here. So let's see that how we can solve for this particular problem and using scan function. So first of all, let's observe one thing, that this is going to be our expected output, right? Now in our expected output, how many rows are we going to have? So if we just see 1 2 3 4 5, so 3 rows for this, 3 rows, these are going to be the same. Again, the number of rows here are 11, right? The number of rows that we have in our input is 11. So there has to be 11 rows in our expected output as well. uh, Additionally, there will be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Additionally, there will be 10 rows. So in total there will be 21 rows as per the 2 blanks inserted after every change. There will be 21 rows in our expected output. And how to arrive at this number 21, we will see that now. So there will be 11 rows in this, right? And there are in total 5 changes. One change is here, John to James, then the second change is here, third change is here, fourth change, and then the fifth change. So how we can arrive at the changes and how we can compare the current value, right? We are comparing James with John, we are comparing Jean with James, we are comparing Joyce with Jean. So how we can compare the current value with its previous value? How we can do that using new dynamic array functions? So for that, we will use drop function here. We will use drop function. So we will use equals to drop. And what we are doing, we are dropping from this names column the first row. Let's press enter. Then what we got this as a result, right? This as a result. And against this we will populate equals to drop. We will, from this array, drop the last row. So against each of these values we got the previous value, right? Against John we got John. Again, against this James we got John here. So we are now able to compare the current value with its previous value. So what we will do here, we will say equals to, is this equal to this, right? So we got our values as true and false, and just notice here that false 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The count of false in this array is 5, and the number of changes that we are going to have in our data is 5. So this will give us the count of the changes that we are going to have in our data, that is 5 here. So uh, if we are able to sum all those false here, then we will get the count of all the changes that we will have in our data. So let's make this dynamic, and let's do one more thing, that let's invert this condition to not equal to. So if we invert this to not equal to, so what is the benefit here? That we now we have the opposite condition, and if we just add this, the values in this array, that is true is interpreted as 1 in Excel. So true plus true again, true. So 5 trues make up 5, right? If we add 5 trues, then we will get 5 in return. So the number of changes that we will have is the sum of this array, the sum of this array. So what we will do again, let's do one thing. Let's copy this from here. Let's copy this. Let's come here, and in place of f4 hash, let's paste that reference formula, and let's copy this formula from here again, and in place of this g4 hash reference, let's paste that formula. Let's press enter. So we got our result, and we can now remove these two formulas, and let's move it here. And now what we have to simply do is equals to, first of all, convert these boolean values into numbers. So we can use uh, this multiplied by 1 here. So we got our values and 1 and 0, and now we can use sum function uh, in order to sum for those values, and we got the result as 5. This 5 indicates the number of changes that we have in our data. So we have in total 5 changes, and then how we can arrive at, let's say, this 21, how we can arrive at this 21. So in total there are 5 changes that we know. Now for each of those changes, we have to insert two blank rows. We have to insert two blank rows, right? So for each of those changes, we have to insert two blank rows. So in total, there will be the number of changes multiplied by this 2 here. So there will be in total 10 extra rows. And add to this the number of rows that we have originally, and let's press enter. So we got 21 as a result. That is the same number here, and this we generated dynamically. The as soon as the user changes this to, let's say, 1, so there will be one additional rows, and the number of rows that we will have in our output will be 16 here. So we can play around with this number, let's say 2 and with n blanks, and we can uh, get the count of the rows that we will have in our expected output. So it is 21 here, and let's generate a sequence of 21 rows. So sequence of 21 rows, right? So we got a sequence of 21 rows. That is the rows that we are going to have in our expected output here. So we got this as a result, and now what we are going to do here, just observe one thing here, that against John we have this number, against John we have this 2, against this John we have 3. Where we wish to have blanks, we have these numbers 4 and 5, right? So what we will do, against each of these names, we will generate a kind of sequence in which we have 1, 2, 3. Then we have to omit this 4 and 5. Then we have to omit this 4 and 5. So we will omit 4. We will omit 4 and 5, and we will continue with 6 here, and then 7. 6 and 7. Then we have to omit 8 and 9. We have to continue with 10 and 11. So we will populate here 10 and 11, and we will now ignore 12 and 13. Then 14 will come here, and then 15 and 16 has to be ignored. Then 17 will come here against this, and then against Peter, what will come? 20 and 21. 20 and 21, right? So this is what we will generate using scan function. We will see that, but let's say we have but let's just assume for once that we have generated this kind of sequence. And now what we can do here, we can use xlookup. So equals to xlookup, and this will be our lookup values, right? And comma, this will be our lookup array. Let's say we have generated this, just assume that for now, and this is going to be our return array. Let's press enter. Let's close the bracket and let's press enter. So we got this as a result, and we have successfully populated again John here, James here, and then Jean here. And where we wish to insert the blanks, we have got any errors. So what we can simply do, we can use this parameter if not found of xlookup, and as this parameter we can give the double quotes, that is an empty string, as our argument. So let's press enter, and we have successfully generated our expected output. This is the process that we are going to follow And our task now will be that we have to generate a sequence of this kind. So we will see now that how we can generate a sequence like this. And this was not dynamic, but we will now make it dynamic. So let's see that how we can do so. And what we will do here, let's delete this, and let's delete this xlookup as well. And what we are going to do now that we are going to use scan function for that. So um, what we will do, we will again make use of this particular array of trues and false that we generated here. So again, before that, what we will do, we will use vstack here, vstack, and we will vstack this with true, right? This with true, comma, and we have got this as a result. And just observe one thing, that let's say this was one group of John, and for this John we have got true, false, false. That means the first value of that group is true and rest of them are false. Then let's say this was the group of James, and here again the same pattern is getting followed, that is first value is true and rest of the values of the group are false. Then again for this pattern, let's say we have got true and false. For this, we have only one row in this group, so we have got true. Here also we have got true. Here we have got true and false. Here we have got again true and false because this was another group, right? And again, what we have to do, let's say if this is true, if this is true, let's say we want one here, we have to start from one. And then again, against this false, what we want this one, this 1 plus 1 again equals to this 2 plus 1 again. If it is false, we want to increment the number by 1. If we have got true here, then what we want to do is, in front of James we wanted 6, right? In front of James we wanted 6. So if against this true as well we want 6 here, 6 here, so how much we have to increase in 3 so that we will get 6 here? It will be equals to this 3 plus this 2, right? So 3 plus 2 will be 5 and plus 1. And from where we will get that one? We will get that one from this true. So we got 6 here. So 1, 2, 3, we have omitted 4 and 5 and we will get to 6 here, right? Against this James, we have 6 here. So we got this 6 here. And again, if it is false, we want to increment this by 1. So this plus 1, the previous result plus 1. And if it is true, what we want to do again? The previous result plus this 2 plus this true, right? Let's press enter. So we got 10 here, and that is what we wanted against Gene. That is what we again wanted to be our next number, because we wanted to ignore this 8 and 9 and we wanted against Gene 10. So we got 10 here. So this is the pattern that we are going to follow, that if the current value, that is each of these values is true, then what we want the previous result plus this n blanks and plus true, that is 1, right? Previous result plus n blanks plus 1. And if it is false, we just want previous result plus 1. What will be our initial value here? What will be our initial result here? It will be, if we do something like this, equals to uh, minus 1 and plus 2, right? Minus 1 plus 2, so we will get 1 here. So that is what we are going to do, that we are going to start with minus 1. Our initial value will be minus 1, and then we are going to increment each of the occurrence of true with plus 2 and plus 1. So that is what we are going to follow here. Let's translate this to again function, and when we are referring to the previous result current values, and again we have an initial value defined as well. So which function can we use here? We can use a scan function. We have the perfect ingredients for scan function. So we will use scan function equals to scan, and again what will be our initial value? It will be minus 1. It will be minus 1. And now how we can relate this minus 1 with this 2 here? How we can relate this minus 1 with this 2 here? Let's say we do minus of this n blanks, and if we add 1 to this, so we will get minus 1 here, right? Minus 2 plus 1 will be minus 1. So this will be our initial value. And what will be our array? This array of trues and false, comma, lambda. And we are denoting the previous result by x and current value by y. And what we are doing, we are conducting a logical test, that if our current value, that is y, is true, if it is true, Then what we want to add this n blank. We want to add this n blank to the previous result, that is x, right? The previous result, that is x, and plus y again. What is being indicated by y here? That is true, comma, if it is false, then we simply want the previous result plus 1. Previous result plus 1. Let's close the brackets and let's press enter. So you can see that we have got our result, and it has some mistakes here. So here we wanted 1 actually. So how we can arrive at 1? Let's see that. Uh, how we can arrive at 1 minus, if we do equals to minus 2 and plus 1. So we are getting minus 1 and plus 3. So we will get 1 here. So what we have to do here, what is this y? What is this y here? It is true for the first time, that is 1. And what is this x? So we have to remove this 1 from here, right? We have to remove this. So we got our result. So what is happening here actually, that this f2, what was this? It was minus 2, right? Minus 2. And again, what was this f2? It was it was 2. So 2 minus 2, that is 2 minus 2, that is 0. And 0 plus 1, what is this y indicating? This true. And this true is 1. True is interpreted as 1 in Excel. So again, 2 minus 2, this is minus 2, right? Our initial value. And again, this y is true here, so 1. And then we got a result, and we have successfully generated the kind of sequence that we wish to generate. So we have got 1 2 3, and we have successfully omitted 4 and 5. Then we have got 6 7, we have omitted 8 and 9, we have got uh, 10 and 11. Then again the sequence as followed, right? So this was again our task. And now we can simply use xlookup function. Xlookup, so what we can do here, we can use xlookup, and our lookup value will be this array of sequence, comma, this will be our lookup array, comma, what will be our return array? Our return array will be this array of names, right? Let's close the bracket, let's press enter. So we have got our result. And as the if not found parameter, we can input an empty string here. So we have got a result. You can see 2 blanks are inserted. And if we change this to, let's say, 1, so you can see that 1 blank row is inserted after every change in the names. And if we change this to, let's say, 3, so we have now inserted 3 blanks after every change in the names. Let's change this to 0. So we have inserted 0 blanks after every change. If this we change this to 3, so we have again got that as our result. Right, so this is how we can insert blank rows. And we saw the usage of, again, drop function. We saw the usage of sequence, and again we saw vstack in application. We saw xlookup and scan functions in application. And again, this is the beauty of Excel, that we can use different approaches, different functions, in order to get to the solution of the same problem. And now we can wrap the whole thing inside a single let statement. So we can do that as well. So let's do that as well. Let's wrap this inside let statement as well. So this is our output. And what we will do, we will again take. So this is not required. This is not required. So we can remove this column from here. And here we will start writing our let function. So equals to let. And first of all, we will define our user inputs. There were 2 user inputs. So first user input was the range of names. So we will declare a variable as range, and we will give this as a reference. And we can ignore this long part here, comma. And again, next variable was the number of blanks. So n blanks, and comma, let's give this as our value. And comma, let's say we wish to see range as in return, right? And we got this as a result. And now next variable was for this one, right? We used f4 hash here as well, and we used it here as well. And we used it 2 times. So we will declare a separate name for this reference. So we will copy this for this formula, and we will create a separate variable for this, let's say h, right? And let's paste that formula. And in place of this complete reference, we can now use range variable, rng. And again here as well, rng, we can use rng. that is the main utility of let function, that it makes our formula much efficient, and we can again reuse our variables in a more better way. So here we again wish to see h back, right? And then this was our f4 hash reference, and we used f4 hash reference once here, only once we used it once here. So we will copy our final result, and we will come here, we will move on to the next line, and then we will paste our formula. And now we will again use, in place of this reference, we will use the range variable, right? And in place of f4 hash, this was our formula, so we will copy this, we will again come here, and in place of f4 hash we will paste that. And again, let's move this part to next line. And in place of this e4 hash, what is the variable that we defined? It was h. And in place of this, we have again defined another variable, that is rng. And in place of this e2, we can use n blanks, that we have again declared n blanks. And again, in place of this e2, we can use n blanks, right? And finally, in place of this g4 hash reference, we can copy this. We will come here, and in place of this g4 hash reference, we will paste that. And again, in place of this e4 hash reference, we can use h variable. So we have got final output as a single formula. We can remove all these intermediate calculations from here, but let's keep it. And this is our final result, single cell formula, and from this we can control our entire formula, right? So in place of this e2, let's say we input 2. So we got 2 blank rows inserted after every change in the names. So again, this was our task, and we have successfully accomplished this task using scan function, drop, xlookup, and various other functions. So thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope you would like this approach, and do check out the video by Victor as well. I will attach the link of that video in the comments below. So thanks a lot for watching this, and hope to see you in more such videos in future. Thank you.